Welcome back to Greenlight Studio. You know, something feels a little off. Oh yeah, this super sweet Halloween 3 silver shamrock pillow. If you don't know me, which of course you're watching, you know me, I'm Ollie from Greenlight Studio, and today I am going to be reviewing the new movie Jackass Best and Last, which I just got back from seeing like an hour ago, and boy do I have some thoughts, and boy am I excited to share them. Now, like the other Greenlight Studio reviews, I'm going to keep the first part spoiler free, and then I'll get a little bit into spoilers. I will be honest, there's not much to spoil in this movie. If you've seen the Jackass movies, you know why that is. But this is definitely one that you should experience in theaters. Like, this will not hit as hard while watching at home. I was not in the most packed crowd, but it was enough, and seeing all of these classic stunts as well as some new ones mixed in with live audience reactions was really, really cool, and kind of, I mean, for me, kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's unfortunate, but this is probably the only Jackass movie I will ever see in a theater, and that's pretty sad. But why be sad? Why not be happy? Because I have some good news, folks. Jackass Best and Last, it's pretty great. Here's what I'll say out the gate, and I think they made this clear in marketing, so I wouldn't consider this a spoiler. This is the spoiler-free section, by the way. We're getting right into it. I wouldn't consider this a spoiler, but if you want to go into this movie completely blind, which I think you should, makes the magic more magical, I probably would click off here. If you've seen the movie or don't care to get some minor spoilers, you can listen. But I'm sure everyone who's a Jackass fan knows that this new movie is kind of a mix-up between some old classic Jackass clips and some new stunts that they filmed for this movie. And when I tell you, all of them hit. Now, here's the thing, like, I have seen all of the other Jackass movies so many times. Like, I don't even know. I would have to imagine 5+ for all of them. And for certain ones, like, I think I've watched Jackass Forever probably 10 times. I love these movies. And so, like, I've seen all the stunts, right? And I know all the stunts. And so you're never gonna recapture, the magic of seeing some of these stunts for the first time. But what I was pleasantly surprised by was that there weren't very many of those. There was probably like 5, which, for what it's worth, in a over hour and a half or so movie, I think that's pretty great. I mean, and even still, like, if you've never seen some of these stunts in a theater, it's completely different. And I will say that the older footage has been remastered, and it looks pretty amazing. There's a few times where you can tell there's some digital smudge going on, but for the most part, everything looks great. And I just didn't expect this movie to be like as emotional as it was. Like, for a movie that's at the end of the day about 10 or so guys just beating each other up and pulling pranks, it has a magic that no one besides this cast will ever recapture. And I think it's so awesome that even after 26 years, they're still able to make new stunts that hit just as hard. There are some stunts that were filmed for this movie, like some new stuff, I think that for sure are going to go down in Jackass history with some of the greats. I'll get more into that later in the spoiler section. But, I mean, as they've gotten older, there's a little bit more limiting. There's a little bit more of a limit on what they can and can't do. Obviously, Knoxville has said can't get any more concussions, which, if you've seen Jackass Forever, you'd probably know why. And I mean, they're in their 50s for the most part, and so you can't expect them to be doing things that they were doing when they were 20 in their 50s. But they've, I think, shifted in a way that's pretty much perfect. Like, if you go from watching the original to watching this, it's so different, but the fact that change has been spread out over 5 movies plus the .5s, it doesn't feel intrusive at all. Like, it feels like everything has kept that spirit since the beginning of Jackass, and I'm happy to say that this new one feels the same. It feels like Jackass, which from the trailers I wasn't sure that it was, and I can promise you now it still feels like Jackass. Um I I gotta be like, there's not much I can say, and even in the spoiler section, like, there isn't too much that I will say. Other than, like, I was obviously very excited. Like, was I don't even know, when this movie in January got announced, I that was probably the most excited I've ever been for a movie, because I'm a huge Jackass fan, but was just late enough where I didn't get to see any of them in theaters. And so, you know, Forever definitely did feel like it was going to be the last one. And so, when another one got announced, it was one of those things where, this kind of, not life goal per se, but this thing that I thought I'd never be able to do was then possible. But part of me in the back of my mind, knowing that it was going to be like some recycled stuff as well as, a little bit of new stuff, but the way that it was explained, it sounded like there was barely going to be anything new at all. It's a pretty good split. And that's the thing that I didn't expect, which I would not consider this to be a spoiler. A lot of the stuff that isn't new still hasn't been seen, at least officially. I don't think there was anything in this besides one clip that I just straight up hadn't seen. And I'm not talking about the new stuff, I'm talking about the old stuff. But only about like 30% of what they showed was actually ever produced in either a movie or in a TV episode like that made the cut. And I'm not going to tell you like what any of the stuff that's in it was, because that's a pretty big spoiler, but they're pretty gnarly. Let me just say that. There's some pretty gnarly stuff from like the 90s and the 2000s that, MTV cut out of the pilot for one of them, actually for a couple of them. And I just didn't expect that to be in the movie. And it just, I didn't ever expect to see that officially produced. I mean, I basically just saw like a bad, really low quality cut of most of those clips on YouTube like one time a couple of years ago, and that's it. I mean, that's the furthest I'd ever thought about those clips before. I thought that was the end. But they got a second life, and it's, for as like kind of messed up and gnarly as some of those clips are, they still do it in a way that's funny. At the end of the day, it's not supposed to be disturbing, it's supposed to be funny. And again, they succeed at it. So I think that's about all I can say for the spoiler-free section. I will say, at the end of the day, I think that this is the first Jackass movie that it's infinitely better if you're a fan of Jackass. Like, I think all of the other ones, you can watch them as an outsider to the franchise and still very much enjoy it. This one is very much presented as sort of a fan film or like a fan service film. Usually I mean that as like an insult. This time I don't. I mean, I'm a Jackass fan, so I'm totally down for fan service. But, I can see how people might be annoyed by that. And I can also see like people not liking the format at all. I think that's totally fair. I liked it. I thought it was really interesting and so much better and different than I thought it was going to be. But, at the end of the day, it was different from all the other Jackass movies. And I can see people, not liking it. So, while I will heavily recommend this to anyone who's interested, but especially to Jackass fans, because I know a lot of people are holding off from seeing it, I think that this is a well worth seeing movie. And I really hope it does well. I mean, it's probably the end. I would have to assume it's the end no matter what. But I would love for them to, have a nice send-off, have everything go well in the box office. And yeah, it was great. It was really, really great. And I'm so happy. So I guess that's the end of the spoiler-free section. I think the spoilers I'm going to keep kind of short. I just kind of want to talk about like individual bits. So here's your spoiler warning. Click off. You have now entered the spoiler-free section of the video. Man, some of these new sketches, or not sketches, but like bits, really, really, really great. I think it was the like surprise party. I forget what the title in the movie was, but the one with the Rams in the office room, so funny. And um like like that was just so funny. The one with like the twister board and the laxatives, really really funny. um let's see, the one with the puppet show, really really funny. The robot prostate exam, again, words that I did not think I'd be saying. The robot prostate exam, really funny. And just all of the new bits, I thought all of them hit really hard, were consistently funny. And you know, obviously if there's less of them in this movie, I would hope that they're all good. But these are just like, they feel like they only filmed or only picked to show the best stuff. Whereas I think in some of the other Jackass movies, like, there were stunts that you could tell, yeah, they just kind of threw this into the movie to pad out the runtime. You know, I think probably about half of this movie is new stunts. 1/3 of the movie is things you've seen before, as in like a best of, and then 1/3 of the remaining half, and then the other 2/3 of that half is like not necessarily before seen things. Something I didn't expect is there's just like alternate camera angles of things you've seen before, alternate takes. Like there's another take of Johnny getting hit by the bull from Jackass Forever. And that was interesting to me. That's another thing that I think people might not care. I think that's super interesting. And I thought, again, seeing that in a theater was really cool and something I never expected to happen. But all, like, literally all of the new bits hit really hard. And I just, part of me was just scared that wouldn't happen. You know, from the trailer, seeing how much of it looked to just be like, this is the best of Jackass, not necessarily this is the best of new Jackass, I was very concerned. And I think I'm kind of sound like a broken record because I said this before, but you know, now I can get a little more in depth. All of the trailers just made it seem like it was the same couple stunts. Like, I think the main trailers kind of just bounce back and forth between like 5 things. So I was thinking to myself, like, is this the only footage they have? Is just from a couple of stunts and the rest is from, you know, older clips. But no, it's not like that at all. It is way more new stuff than I imagined. I would say the best comparison that I can make, and this is strictly for like Jackass fans, people who've never watched the franchise aren't gonna necessarily know what this means, but this feels like a Jackass 4.75. Like, it's basically Jackass 5. Like, it is Jackass 5, obviously, but it kind of has the feel of a 0.5, but yet more like a Jackass movie. So, like, that's like the worst explanation I can give for that. But it's almost like you made a 0.5 for a 0.5. I don't know. That sounds like an insult. It's not. I think the 0.5s are awesome. And if you're watching this far, I think I'm probably going to make a Jackass ranking video. Just to kind of share my thoughts, you know, see where my head's at. You can judge my Jackass knowledge on this movie based off of the other ones. But really, I mean, like I said, I don't have that many thoughts. For what it is, I mean, it is a great movie. For so many people, this will be either the last time, or even for myself, the first time. Nowhere near my first time watching Jackass, but the first time that I'm watching it in a theater, and that's just something I never thought I'd be able to say. I thought I missed Jackass in the theater. But there is a magic in seeing people pooping and getting hit in the nuts. There's a magic in seeing that with other people at the same time, and the collective groans in gross moments, and laughs in funny moments, and like oohs and ahs in times where it's like, wow, they're really gonna do that. Man, I am so happy that Jackass Best and Last, while it is not the best Jackass movie, I will say that outright, but it absolutely deserves to be part of the franchise. And I'm so happy that this series went out with a bang like it did, whereas I truthfully thought it was going to kind of fizzle out. But I'm so happy to say that that is not the case. This movie absolutely hits. And if you are a Jackass fan, if you're not a Jackass fan, if you hate Jackass, I think you should give it a chance. Because this one's different enough where people who might not like the franchise can like it, but it's also the same stuff that fans are after. And I had a great time watching it. That's about all I have to say. Thanks for watching this Greenlight Studios production, and I will see you in the next one.